It's about time your ass got here. What's good, everybody? I'm Winston A. Marshall, aka the Swaggy Blurred, and welcome to CPT Reviews. Today, I've got episode 2 of Scott Pilgrim Takes Off, A League of Their Own. This is a spoiler review. I'm going to be talking about the episode as a whole, so if you haven't seen it yet, please be sure to go watch that episode first. Come on back, or stick around if you just want to kind of hear me talk about it. By all means, come on in. Let's do the damn thing. And before we even get started on all that, man, if you are new to the channel, please be sure, go down, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, know when there's new stuff coming out on the channel. I got the reviews, I got comedy, I got all that good stuff, so you don't want to miss that. All right, episode 2, man. I am loving this so far for a number of reasons. I mean, obviously you have the anime styling of the show, but again, Scott Pilgrim really having that video game vibe, always has. You're getting those elements there. I didn't even notice this because maybe I was just too invested, like too excited. But even the opening, like episode 2, when it says like A League of Their Own, all that kind of stuff, the letter writing is very Street Fighter. It kind of has that same kind of font and appeal to it. So, right diving into the second episode, man, there is so much going on. Scott is actually dead, at the top of the episode, and we end up going to his funeral. Ramona goes, she changes her hair up, re-dyes it. She goes to the funeral, the whole band, all of Sex Bombs there. Knife shows up. She's ready to fucking just take it to Ramona immediately. She's pissed. You're the reason Scott's dead. But the real highlight of the funeral is Envy Adams, played by Brie Larson, showing up. And Envy has always been, like, it's funny because they talk about how she used to be really down to earth and cool beforehand, but she broke Scott's heart. She's the big X, and that's another thing that is talked about a lot. I mentioned that in the other review. This lack of care with people's hearts, lack of care with people's emotions, stuff like that. You're just kind of doing your own thing. Everybody being a little bit selfish. The way Envy kind of did Scott was pretty dirty, but she becomes some blend of Lady Gaga, Beyonce, Taylor Swift, and like Kim Kardashian. So like the out there kind of fashion, the full diva, everybody worships her, calls her queen, calls her mommy, like all that kind of stuff. And then just the I know the camera's watching level of like Kim Kardashian in there as well. So I gotta give Brie Larson so much credit because the voice acting for Envy is just as stinging as, if anything, I think it's more stinging than it actually is in the original movie. But she sings "I Will Remember You" at the funeral.
I will remember you. Will you remember me?
Scott dated her?
Which in and of itself is just kind of ridiculous. And she's not doing one of her own songs. I mean, I get it. People will do tribute songs and stuff like that all the time at funerals. But what a choice of song by Envy to steal the show. Everybody to be obsessed with Envy and not really care about Scott because this is some nobody she dated before she got famous. But as this is going on, we actually see that all of the evil X's end up getting an invitation to Gideon's hideout, including Gideon. Everybody's like, what the hell? How did I get invited to my own lair? It turns out once the X's actually come together to meet, that Matthew Patel is actually pissed off. He goes, this league is stupid in the sense that I beat Scott, her new boyfriend. Everybody, the Katanagi twins were confused. They're like, wait, you had a new boyfriend? Not anymore. Thanks to me, I beat Scott, and she still wouldn't date me. Which, again, I also find it very interesting. One of the things that I have always loved about Scott Pilgrim, again, since this whole thing is about relationships, about loving others as well as yourself, there's this level sometimes with relationships where people will be like, that's my girlfriend, that's my boyfriend, that's my husband, that's my wife. Like, yes, technically that they are your significant other, etc. But there's this weird level of just like control and manipulation. That's one of the things that we kind of see a lot with Ramona's exes, especially Gideon, is how controlling they are. So Patel to be like, hey, she didn't choose me after I killed a new man, so this is going to be a problem. He issues a challenge to Gideon being like, your league is stupid, bro. I'm taking that shit over. And so they get into a fight. And again, what I love about the show, they are straight up treating it similar to the movie where they treat it like a video game throughout to give the actual old school Street Fighter side-scrolling like life bars, throw up your dukes, doing a couple moves, and then eventually break into a full-on anime fight. And I absolutely adored it. And you get to see Patel's demon slash summoning fire powers again, and he's flying around and all that. Gideon, we know his main thing is like, yes, he's a martial artist, but specifically he's a swordsman. So we get an epic fight through Gideon's lair, and I honestly thought Patel was gonna get washed, bro, because he really is the first X. He gets mad disrespected in the movie. It doesn't take much to beat him, even with these cool powers. But he pulls it off. He beats Gideon's ass. It's a tough fight, but he gets it done.
This is what we in the business call a reversal of fortune.
And what was bet on it was if Matthew Patel lost, he'd forfeit his life. If Gideon lost, he had to give up everything he owns. Now, part of the thing about this fight and about this meeting that I want to kind of circle back around and talk about, I'll talk about the end of the fight too. Everybody is bringing their A game with their voice acting. Real talk. Like Chris Evans jumping right back in to the gravelly low voice, which is like, hey, man, you know, I just always do whatever I want. I don't even remember. He plays Lucas Lee, right? He's like, yeah, you know, I don't even use my lines. I just live in the moment, which is one of the most actor statements you could possibly say, and even gets mad at Brandon Ross character. Oh my God, I'm having a blank. Todd, with Todd Ingram, where he's like, I heard you've been dipping into acting. He's like, I had a few auditions. He goes, my vegan brain allows me to memorize an entire script because I have a photographic memory. And he's like, yeah, well, I just, like I said, live in the moment. So, and hearing this, and this is what's fun watching all the exes. Roxy Richter, she actually is like, is that why all of your lines were let's party throughout your films? Which comes back to it. There's just little things. It's just very witty writing, very quick banter back and forth, which just makes this a pleasure to dive into this world. So as Matthew Patel ends up beating Gideon, he takes everything. He takes the house, the lair, the record company, the media company, his underwear. He even asked about that. He takes all of it. The butler didn't even try to help him up. He's like, go ahead and sign it. It's legally binding, fool.
What's this?
The result of this fight is legally binding. Everything of yours now belongs to Mr. Patel.
Hey!
So then when Gideon gets up, he's like, hey man, you guys are just gonna all betray me? And Lucas Lee is like, sorry, clown. Like they all like bounce on him. And Roxy had one of the best lines where she actually says, come on, Roxy, me and you, we're different. Like we could do a league of two. And she goes, I don't need a league to get no girl. I thought that was savage as fuck, and I love it. I absolutely love it. But what I think I love above everything else, and again, that the acting is super on point. We're already kind of exploring some themes, again, about relationships, about control, about what all that kind of means. I love that we're getting a truly just like completely original story. There might be somebody who's watching this and they're like, hey, Winston, you dumbass. This actually was a whole separate book of Scott Pilgrim, because I'll be real, I read way back in the day, but I really am just more familiar with the movie and the movie story. So for somebody that has really been focused on that as far as my relationship to Scott Pilgrim, for me this is an original tale and I'm really enjoying it. So you know, I'm just very curious where your mind's going, how you're feeling about it, man. What do you want to see more of? Who so far is your favorite character? I'm sure people had favorite characters watching the movie back in the day, but who do you have as a favorite character in the show? Because right now for me, I got to go back to Chris Evans and Lucas Lee, man. That character is absurd. It is absolutely absurd, and it goes again to show why, you know, this dude was able to completely just own the MCU for all these years, why his Cap was so beloved, man.
That is America's ass.
So with that, I'm going to give this one a 4.5 out of 5. I love the originality. I love where the story is taking us, and the fact that we get that final little twist where Scott is calling out to Ramona in her dreams and whatnot. You know, I'm curious if she's going to be able to save him. I'm assuming she's going to have to. It's called Scott Pilgrim Takes Off. I mean, I know that could potentially mean that he's like gone for the whole thing, but I would assume he's coming back in some form or fashion. Yeah, let me know what you think down in the comments below, how you're feeling the show and whatnot. Be sure to check out everything that I got going on the channel, man. I got my other CPT reviews of older movies that by now, if you're not familiar with CPT, it stands for Color People Time. That's implying that, like, if you're supposed to be there at 6, brother might show up at 7:45, 8 o'clock, a little bit late, but it doesn't matter. The party don't stop till I walk in. That kind of situation. So I'm going through all the old movies that you haven't seen. I'm including newer content in there as well, but a lot of that is directly anchored to other things that may have been related to it. So for example, like I said, if you haven't seen it already, go back and watch my Scott Pilgrim Vs. The World review, my CBT review on that, as you know, you kind of get my thoughts on what I love about that film and as I revisit it and all that. But I'm going to be covering this entire series, so definitely come back and check out the episode 3 review. But until then, y'all, be easy, be safe. I'll see y'all next time. Peace.